Welcome to the Learning Cities interview series by the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning. We're speaking to UNESCO learning cities around the world to find out how they're coping with COVID-19 and how they're ensuring to provide education for everyone during this pandemic. We are very grateful to have with us today the Mayor of Goyang City in the Republic of Korea, Lee Jae-jun. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lee Jae-jun, how is the situation in regards to COVID-19 currently in your city, but also in the Republic of Korea overall?
As of April 20th, Korea has 10,674 confirmed cases and 236 deaths. The situation is stabilizing, with confirmed cases decreasing. It is because of effective quarantine measures of the Korean government, including extensive and quick testing and tracing and isolation of patients and suspected patients utilizing smart technology. It is also thanks to the mature civic awareness of Koreans who are actively cooperating with quarantine measures and even showed the highest voter turnout in the recent general elections in 28 years. The Goyang city has 1,070,000 population. As of April 20th, there are 36 confirmed cases and 1 death. We have had no cluster infection at all, and most confirmed cases occurred from overseas and other areas. This was largely because of the Goyang Safe Drive-Through Testing Center, which was highly appreciated across the world and set the standards of drive-through testing center. Paradoxically, the good news is that the Goyang Safe Drive-Through Testing Center has stopped operation due to the stabilization of COVID-19. It opened on February 26 as the first drive-through testing center in the world, and during the 56 days of operation, it has identified 4 cases from about 1,800 tests for 3,500 visitors. We are still in social and physical distancing to fight COVID-19, but we are considering a transition toward routine social distancing as the situation is stabilizing.
Thank you very much for sharing these very impressive ways to fight the pandemic. What challenges are you confronted with when implementing your education strategy in your city?
코로나19 대유행에 따라서 교육 정책에 직면한 과제는 무엇입니까?
With the coronavirus pandemic, the entire world is facing an unprecedented situation. We cannot open classrooms, the space essential for traditional ways of teaching. According to UNESCO, schools in 165 countries are temporarily closed, and 1.5 billion students cannot go to school. This means not just disruption in learning, but also disruption in interactions between teachers and learners and among learners themselves. It leads to lack of creating social relations, which is crucial for human development. Therefore, I believe a key challenge in education amid the COVID-19 pandemic is resolving the disruption in learning and creating social relations.
Thank you. As you said, there's a disruption in learning due to COVID-19. So many schools from around the world are currently moving from a non-digital learning environment to full distance and online learning. What's the current status in this regard in Goyang City?
고양시의 현황은 어떻습니까?
Goyang has 164 schools in total, including 87 elementary schools, 41 middle schools, 36 high schools, and 4 special schools. From April 9th, they started a new semester online in stages, and on April 20th, all of them started teaching online. All 112,800 students in the city are currently learning in distance. Korea established the operation standards on distance learning, including examination, to start the semester online. We also improved learning management systems, e-learning systems, and other educational infrastructure based on the cooperation among relevant organizations, including Korea Educational Broadcasting System and Korea Education and Research Information Service. Moreover, we made sure that no student is left behind by supporting vulnerable groups with online learning tools such as tablets and the cost for cable, wireless, and telecom services to have online access. We are experiencing some glitches since we are trying this for the first time, but I expect the situation will stabilize quite soon. I think Korea's online learning system can be a new normal across the world in face of the pandemic, just like the drive-through testing center of Goyang.
Thank you very much for providing us with this overview. So students in Korea and especially in your city are learning online. How do you ensure health education for all citizens, and what kind of support is provided especially for marginalized and also vulnerable
건강
groups?
교육은 어떻게 추진하고 계십니까? 특히 소외계층과 취약계층에 대한 지원에 대해 말씀해 주시기 바랍니다.
A top priority in the COVID-19 pandemic is to encourage the public to follow the quarantine rules in their daily lives to stabilize the situation. The Goyang city government has carried out awareness campaign and education in various channels. We also placed hand sanitizers at every crosswalk in the city and set up equipment in public squares for hand wash, so that the public can actively and voluntarily participate in strict social and physical distancing. Moreover, Goyang City Health Promotion Center provides counseling services to deal with what they call the corona blues that could come from lack of social interactions. The COVID-19 pandemic is affecting the economy in particular. As you may well know, there is a vicious cycle of low economic status leading to low levels of educational attainment, keeping people in poverty. Therefore, we need to provide direct and effective economic support for all people affected by the pandemic, including the marginalized and the vulnerable. The Goyang city government has provided pandemic relief subsidy of 50,000 Korean won for all its citizens, reduced the rent for small businesses, and encouraged private landlords to follow suit, and implemented procurement from local businesses and financial support for small and medium-sized enterprises. And I believe that the central government will also provide financial relief for all Koreans.
Thank you very much for explaining these wide-ranging measures. Which learnings do you take away from the current crisis situation for the future of education?
교육의 미래와 관련해서 현재 상황 속에서 우리가 얻을 수 있는 교훈이 있다면 어떤 것이 있을까요? First of all, we will definitely rise above the crisis. And I'd like to talk about two things about the world after the COVID-19 pandemic. First, what we need to teach about COVID-19. Historically, a pandemic always came with distrust, hatred, discrimination, and exclusion. COVID-19 is also the case. On the other hand, however, we witnessed mature civic awareness. Koreans, including citizens of Goyang, were promised dignity, trusted the truth, and took action voluntarily. Fear in a pandemic or a disaster can work as a litmus test for maturity of a democracy. I hope that we will be able to teach about how the humankind overcame the crisis with democracy and civic awareness after the COVID-19 pandemic. Second, it's also related to innovation and creativity. The London plague of 1665 forced Isaac Newton to return home for isolation, and he spent his prime years of discovery during that time. Arthur Koestler also said creativity comes from interactions between things seemingly unrelated to each other. I see parallels among the difficulties we have due to COVID-19, new connections being created amid the pandemic, Newton's experience in London plague, and the concept of bioassociation. I hope that rising above the COVID-19 pandemic will be an opportunity to encourage innovation and creativity in education of the future.
Thank you very much. Is there a final message you would like to send out to partner cities around the world?
감사합니다. 전 세계 파트너 도시에 전하고 싶은 메시지가 있다면 말씀해 주십시오.
Now is the time to remind ourselves of a famous quote by Susan Sontag. We need to extend solidarity, not pity, to the pain of others. We need to actively tackle the crisis and at the same time restore a sense of community in the world to resolve common challenges of the humankind. Let's overcome fear and helplessness and look at the impact of COVID-19 as an opportunity for the human civilization to make progress and forge solidarity with a long-term perspective. Let's rise above the crisis together and embrace the future that has arrived.
Thank you very much for these final words. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us and for sharing the comprehensive response of the UNESCO Learning City of Goyang during the COVID-19 pandemic with us. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay healthy and goodbye.
네, 함께 해주신 모든 분들 감사드리고요. 건강하시기를 기원하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rema.